Senator President Obama in Nashville discussing immigration. This was his first chance to speak in public about that new CIA torture report, but he did not speak to it there at the top of that address. I want to bring back in John Stanton from BuzzFeed. John, we've seen a lot of discussion of this in the media, I think incorrectly, as some kind of partisan issue. But if John McCain's address this morning didn't put that to rest, I don't know what will. He's a Hawks hawk. He knows these issues well.
Although, Ari, he has been against torture for quite some time.
He has, which makes my point. He has been against torture for quite some time. A lot of Republicans have been against torture, to their credit. Some here have now come back around and gotten to a discussion about the Senate report and whether releasing it's a good idea. But, John, it seems to me that from the former Republican nominee was significant. And then the New York Times reporting just this afternoon on details from the report that show infighting within the CIA, that this isn't about intelligence community versus everyone else, but real moral questions within the intelligence community itself, including a high-ranking official who, according to the Times, according to the report, basically said, this is a train wreck waiting to happen. I want off it. This doesn't work. We shouldn't be doing it. So, John, what do you make of those facts that are in the innards of the report itself in contrast to this sort of partisan narrative?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that this issue is long broken, not so much on party lines as it has on sort of the notion of, do you think that in the wake of a massive terrorist attack or some other kind of attack on the homeland, it's appropriate to suspend sort of a lot of the moral guidelines that we've created as a society? And, you know, there are those, I think, that believe that, like Senator McCain, obviously, who are very, very strongly against that. And then there are others that believe that sometimes in a time of war, you have to go out and do things that you wouldn't normally think were appropriate or right. But if they're going to protect you...
Sometimes at war, you do war crimes. I mean, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about war crimes under the Geneva Convention.
Well, but I think, I think that they believe that they were justified because of the circumstances of the time. That is the argument they're making. And I think that's where this really is breaking down. Now, I do think most Republicans, at least publicly right now, are coming down behind leadership and saying that this report isn't appropriate. They don't believe that it was, it includes a lot of the information it should have, and that they are worried it's going to endanger people operating in the field, particularly given the fact that everything that's in the report happened years ago, and it's a program that's not really being used anymore. And I think that's where you do see some partisanship, but even there, most of the Republicans that we've talked to they don't really want to get out there and talk about this issue one way or the other. I think it's making everyone fairly queasy on Capitol Hill.
Indeed, everyone on Capitol Hill is queasy about this entire issue for many reasons. This is all about the CIA and what the CIA did, but they are not alone in this. Leaders in Congress in both houses were briefed 17 times from 2002 to 2005. They knew, and this report talks about the CIA lying or not or concealing evidence to Congress, but surely a lot of folks on the Hill knew what was going on. Should they also be held responsible here?
I think so, yes. I mean, look, members, a lot of the members will say, well, look, we were sworn to secrecy, we weren't allowed to say something. The problem with that argument is that, in fact, they do have a mechanism to say something. If they had believed that that they were being told was egregious enough, they could have just gone to the House or Senate floor and talked about it. They are given immunity from prosecution if they're on the Senate or House floor in almost everything. And so they could have done that, and they could have gone out and raised the alarm bell. They could have done what Senator Wyden did during hearings on the wiretapping programs, for instance, where he kept sort of telegraphing that there might be something there. We in the media didn't really ever pick up on it, but he was trying to make the point that there was something going on, I think. And a lot of the members that are sort of saying, well, we're going to keep our hands clean from this, they were in charge, they were appropriating money, they were being given updates. So I think that if you're going to make some people culpable, if you're involved, obviously everyone's going to have to be.
And, John, what Vice President and Senator Feinstein and Senator McCain, among many others, are saying is that we had to release this report to make sure that we never go back to this dark place again, that no matter how our backs are up against the wall, no matter how scared we are, how fearful we are of potential attacks, that we don't go back and repeat these mistakes. Do you think that this report will have that sort of a long-lasting impact?
I would be skeptical, frankly, of that. I think that there not as many members are around now as there were at 9/11. There's not as much institutional memory in Washington anymore. It seems that things get lost very, very quickly. People repeat a lot of the same kind of mistakes. I mean, people are still getting caught for basic campaign finance violations. The idea that people are going to look at another situation like this where the country's been attacked and there's a lot of pressure on them to do some things that are outside of the bounds of the law or morality, to me is suspect, frankly.
Yeah, well said. As always, BuzzFeed's John Stanton and earlier Congressman Peter Welch, thanks to you both.